On January 2, 2008, an Omaha-based commodities trader instructed a colleague in New York to bid $100 for a barrel of Oklahoma oil. "This is the big one," he declared. It was. The transaction pushed the price of crude to the $100 mark for the first time. Prices for resources ranging from natural gas to copper to wheat, traded in London, Chicago, New York, and beyond, had already set records in the preceding months and years. The apparent source of the surge was halfway around the world. Double-digit Chinese economic growth was driving unprecedented demand for resources. As Chinese people moved into the middle class, they consumed more, rapidly outstripping China's own ability to produce the resources needed to fuel its economy. The trend was turbocharged in the mid-2000s as China built up cities, industry, power plants, roads, and railways, boosting demand for everything from steel to coal. Alarm bells sounded throughout much of the world as fears grew that Chinese demand was leading to resource scarcity and ever higher commodity prices. With what often appeared to be the full weight of the Chinese government behind them, Chinese firms seemed to be scouring the world for resources, striking deals at terms no other competitor could equal. Resource-rich economies were the beneficiaries of China's wide-ranging trade, aid, and investment deals, but worries about consequences for the environment and labor, and about corruption, plagued Chinese investments. Meanwhile, warnings of rising Chinese influence spread well beyond commerce. Scholars, pundits, and politicians raised the prospect of resource wars, and defense planners began to worry that China would seek to control the seas through which the resource trade flowed. Natural resources have always been a flashpoint between emerging and established powers. Big countries can generate most of the essential elements of national power and prosperity from within their own borders, but even great powers are stuck with the natural resources they have. To be certain, for a time they can turn to technology and exploration to boost domestic production as demand for resources outstrips their homegrown supply. Eventually, though, emerging powers inexorably turn outward in search of the natural resources they need, with widespread consequences. This is not a new phenomenon. Ancient Athens disdained international commerce but found itself seeking timber in Macedonia and corn in Egypt. England and Spain built colonies in the New World partly to sate demand for gold, silver, wood, and furs. In the first half of the 20th century, as European powers fought over Africa and the Middle East, they were driven in part by competition for natural resources that they lacked at home. Japan sought control over much of East Asia at the same time for similar reasons. After World War II, the United States extended its influence over distant resource-producing lands and spent large sums to protect seaborne commerce, in part to assure itself of reliable access to the resources lacking at home.